And it's called Kalyani. So that would be the name that people know it by most. Yani.
Is that right?
K A L
Is that right?
Kalyani. And then we can
Okay,
put
Kalyani.
the Hindustani name is Yaman, which is Yaman.
Y-A.
Uh, in your chart that you have, it will be written as Mecha Kalyani. The chart which you have, which you showed.
Oh, oh yeah.
Yeah.
This one here.
Yes. And that would be mainly because of the fact that, like, I think Karthik
Mnemonic.
and Tiger Moth mentioned the other time, that's the scale, and then Kalyani is like the raga, so you like add more nuances to Kalyani and then becomes the raga, whereas that's the bare bone scale
Okay.
that it is made out
Correct.
of.
That's the bare bone scale.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me then ask if you know what this one is, because this would be the next most important scale that we would use for moving forward. Hold on. Let me do. Sorry, I need to add a measure and move this down. So let's look at this scale. I'm going to make this into a major scale. So this would be a major scale, and listen to the scale. Listen to the major scale. Can you guys hear that scale?
Yes.
Okay. So if I would modify this scale by flatting this note here, which is the seventh note, and make it natural. Listen to this scale and see if you have one that corresponds with it. So
Yeah,
do you
that is
have a scale that?
that is called
Okay.
Harikamboli. That is 28th Melakarta.
Okay, so let's put that one up. So this
H.
is
Am I right,
28,
Karthik?
Yes, it is correct.
and let me go here and pick up. It's this one.
Yep.
28.
Correct.
Harikamboli.
Okay. So these are two of our main. Let me put a space in between that because that's driving me nuts if it doesn't have it. These are two of our main modes that we would use for composition. So besides the major scale, the natural minor scale, the one that's here, and does that one
That
have
is
a
Nata Bhairavi, number 20. Number
number
20.
20? Okay. So let me put that. I'm sorry it takes a little while to get this down, but number 20. Let me go and make sure I spell this right. Okay. And then the major scale, what is that called?
29. 29. Dhira Shankara Varnam. 29.
29.
Dhira
Let me go
Shankara
here.
Varnam. Or Shankara Varnam.
Okay. So I will put on this the name that we call it, and then that way you can maybe research that parallel of what we have. This one is called the major scale. This one is called the natural minor scale. This one is called the Lydian Mode. It's not called a scale, but a Lydian Mode. This one is called the Mixolydian Mode. And so those are kind of the main things that composers in Western music will use. They like to make higher the fourth scale degree in order to change keys into a different tonal center. So where you would feel that tonal center, that da 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 da, where you feel that tonal center, da, that seems like home. In order to change where that home is, they use these notes to transition. So these notes are actually used as or these modes are used as transitional scalular methods to move into a new home, which is a new key. So that's kind of how Western music uses different scales. We have other ones, and I think this one might be familiar. Let me just write it out so that you can hear it. Is that familiar? Let's listen to it together.
It's just Karahara Priya. I think it's just Karahara Priya.
Priya, 22.
Karahara Priya.
22, yeah.
Okay. So this is actually called the Phrygian Mode. So it looks like there are more parallels than I thought there were here. I thought this one was going to be there, and I got one more that I think is going to be.
No. Can you name the notes so that I can? I'm not able to quite catch on yet.
I'm sorry. Which one was this? Number 20.
The first note, and then flat, sharp. That way you say, na?
No, wait, hold
Okay,
on. But this is Karahara Priya. Just to clarify, Tiger Moth, you're not going to be able to follow with flat and sharp. You'll need to compare it with the major scale because this is not written with a C.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's not written. I can write it in with a C.
I couldn't catch it, to be honest. Yeah.
If you
I couldn't.
Yvette, can you just put it with the same, like I
Yes.
think everything else is starting at G. Just put everything at G, then it'll be easy to compare and see what's different.
Everything at G?
Isn't that where the previous, like Hari Kamboji starting at G, right?
Yes.
Or actually,
Yes.
no, don't do that. Just put it in reference same as the major scale, maybe. Then I think it'll be.
C?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then he can see what is changing.
Oops, hold on. All right, so. Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. Again with the. And it's 21, right?
22.
22. Okay. So if I put this in reference to C, hold on. Let me go back to here. Sorry. Yeah, there it is. C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat, C. C, D, E flat.
So, Tiger Moth, the Ga is flat and then the Ni is flat. So it is Karahara Priya. That's it.
So listening to that in C. Is that it?
Now I got it.
Correct.
Yes.
I'm a little tone deaf. Next time.
So the Ga and the Ni is what you said, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So that for us is called the
Phrygian.
it's called the Dorian Mode.
It is the Dorian.
And
Okay.
is that what you call it?
Yeah, Dorian Mode. That is Karahara Priya.
Yeah, Dorian Mode. Yeah, and I was wanting to write out the Phrygian Mode and I didn't do it. So let me put this. I'm going to put it in big letters.
Yes.
Let me do the Phrygian Mode because I think this is the other one. And Tagamaf, do you know that there's one that corresponds with the Locrian Mode?
There'll be one for sure. There is no way there isn't. It's mathematically impossible that there wouldn't be.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if you write it out, then we'll be able to pick out which one it is.
Okay. So I think we're getting close to.
For if you don't mind, Yvette, before we go down, can you put the the mode names for the others
Yes,
as well?
please.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that way, so that was your Lydian mode, and then the next one was Mixolydian mode. I don't know how to spell them. I mean, I know how to spell Lydian, but I don't know how to spell Mixolydian. So,
I'm looking for a way to do this really quickly. Hold on.
okay.
It goes down the floor. And so there's the Lydian. And here's the Mixolydian. Let me change it.
It's pretty clever that the software allows you to do that.
Mhm. Since you mentioned Yaman there, you might want to call Harikambuji as Khamaj.
I will type it out
Okay.
for you so you can spell it in. It's K for Kansas, H for Harry, A for Apple, M for Mike, A for Apple, J for Java. Okay.
Okay. Oops. And yes, okay. So we got that. And this is the Mixolydian. Sorry. Mixolydian. Oops, I should have put it capital. Sorry. So, all right. So maybe I need to put major scale here. Minor scale here.
It's fine. Yep, that's good.
Lydian mode, Mixolydian mode, Dorian mode. Let's do the Phrygian mode. I need to put it in.
Hindustani names again. That the first one is Bilawal. 29 is
It's
Bilawal.
okay. Let's just keep going, moving with the class. Don't keep interrupting Yvette's
29.
train of thought to add
Oh,
this. It's okay. It's okay. We'll come
no,
back and
that's
add this
good.
later. Yeah, keep going.
Okay, cool. Once we have this document, it's like we can
Yeah.
say these are our commonalities,
Correct.
which is pretty
Exactly.
awesome.
Yep.
So, all right. So I'm going to start it here and then transpose it. Okay. So it's F G A B. So let me transpose this down a third. Oops. I gotta undo. Sorry. I have to change this. There we go. All right. So this is the Phrygian mode, and it sounds like this.
Todi, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it should be. Secondary, second ga. Sorry, second, no, not Todi. First three, second, yeah, Todi. First three, second ga. First da, second ni. Yeah.
Todi.
So which one number is this?
It'll be up, further up.
Number 8.
Todi. 8.
8.
8.
Yeah,
Okay.
that one. Yeah.
How much are we?
And is that the one that's called, what is it called in Hindustani?
Bhairavi.
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 Yeah, okay. So
And how do you spell that?
B for Bravo, H for Harry, A for Alpha, I for India, R for Raccoon, A for Alpha, V for Victor, I for India. Yep.
Okay, and this is our Phrygian mode. So we've hit in the scale, and the way that we look at this is we hit so far we've done the major scale, we have done the Phrygian scale, which would be next. Dorian scale, which would be next. We have done the Phrygian scale, which would be next. The Lydian scale, which would be next. The Mixolydian scale, which would be next. The natural minor scale, and the only one that we have left is the Locrian scale. And it starts, hold on here. Oops. Ugh. Okay, and let me transpose this. And it will help us so it's not so high.
While you're doing that, I noticed that when you wrote all of these scales, all you did was shifted your starting note. And then you were all, I guess there were no flats and sharps, you were just going up, right? But maybe you were not
Say that
necessarily
again?
going. So when you wrote out this, at least the previous two scales, so Phrygian scale and this one, I noticed that you just started at a different note. So you didn't start at the C, right? You started somewhere else. And where you started was different. Initially, I thought you were going to start at G every time, but you didn't. You started at different notes each time,
Oh,
right? And then you just
yes.
wrote out the scale with no flats and sharps. And of course, when you transpose it to start at C, you end up with flats and sharps and stuff. So what's the logic behind that? Like,
So here, let me bring up this. So if I play on the piano a major scale, it's all on white notes. So if I start on C, the whole scale is on white notes. Now this is only if I start on C. So listen to the scale. Oops, sorry. I need to be up here to do this. Or down here. I'll do down here. So if I start on C and I play all white notes, it gives me a C scale. Okay?
correct.
If I start on this note, which is D, and I go to D and I play all white notes, that will be a Dorian mode.
Got it.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If I start on E and play to the high E, that will give me a Phrygian scale.
That's what I thought you were doing.
If I start
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if I start on F and play to F, it gives me the Lydian. If I start on G and play to G, it gives me the Mixolydian scale.
Mm-hmm.
If I start on A and go to A, it gives me the natural minor scale. And if I start on B and end on B, it gives me the Locrian. So it looks like this. So we think a lot in the key of C. And so you have to, when you transpose and you move music to different scales, sometimes it gets confusing. So hold on, let me get back out of this and get rid of this stuff that's in this, on this staff here. Okay, so if I start, let's say I'm making the Locrian scale. So I have to look at what is the difference between this note and this note, because the Locrian scale starts on B. Okay, so if I'm starting on B, what's the difference between this note and this note? Well, this to this note is a half step. So when I'm making it in the key of C, I have to then, I have to now put a D there, but it has to be a half step. So I have to flat it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So you
okay.
in the piano, it's always white keys, but the separation between the white keys is not always a whole note or a half note. So you have to, that's what causes the difference in how the scale sounds. But to write it out,
Exactly.
it's as easy as just putting a dot against the next line or whatever, you know, because it's all going.
Right.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay.
So if I'm going to make this, okay, so if I'm going to make this Locrian scale, which goes from B to B, here's what I'm looking at. So I need a half step because, you know, if you're playing an instrument, you're only moving to the closest note above it. You're not skipping a note. Like if you're playing a stringed instrument, you're not skipping a note. You're moving to the closest note on that string that makes a different note, which is this note right here, which is a C. But from C to D is a whole step because there's a note in between. So if I was just going a half step, I would move to here, which would be, a different note. But in this particular case, I'm moving to a very odd note, which would be D. So if I'm doing this now, I'm transposing, and this is where you lose. Beginning music students, they don't, like in college, they have lots of trouble with this, and it's because it's hard. It's not an easy thought process to understand how you're changing I'm starting the scale from here to here. So which notes do I use, and where are the half steps and where are the whole steps? And that's difficult. What's cool is this program does it for you. But if I'm going to make this scale, I'm going to follow this. So the first thing I need is a half step. If I'm starting on C, there's my half step. The next thing I need is a whole step from here. And I need a whole step. So it has to be an E because I've used a C and a D. So I must use some kind of E here. So if I'm going to put a note here, it's going to be E. But that is not a whole step. That's actually from here to here, or from here to here is more than a whole step. So because there's two notes in between. So I have to modify it by moving it to here. So there. So there's my whole step. So from here to here was a half step, which we have here. From here to here was a whole step, which we have here. From here to here is a whole step, which we need. Yep, we need a whole step here, so that will be an F. So this is the starting of that scale. So that's the first four notes of the scale, okay? And I understand that you can take those four notes, and the next four notes, the next three notes can be any of the iterations of the next three notes, right? To make different scales out of that.
Yes.
Correct. Yes. So what I need to do is I know I'm going to have some kind of a G, some kind of an A, some kind of a B, and then I'm going to obviously end on a C. Okay. So I know that's my scale. I just have to figure out what these next three notes are. And in order to do that, I go back to my keyboard. Let me get out of this mode here. Sorry, keyboard. There we go. So the first is a half step. The second is a whole step. Sorry, I did that wrong. Sorry. The first is a whole step. Half step. God dang it. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead. So you're starting on that white key. Keep your mouse there. And then the first is a half step. Then you have a whole step. Then you have a whole step. Then you have a half step.
So then I have a half step.
Yeah.
So I need G flat.
Then you need a whole step.
Thank you for helping me on that. I was just about to go to my piano. So then I need a whole step. So from G flat to A flat. And then from A flat.
When you point to the black keys, you're confusing me. Why are you going to the black key? You need to go to white only, right?
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so you're starting at B, and then you have a half step, then you have a whole step, then you have a whole step, then you have a half step, then you have a whole step, a whole step, a whole step.
And there's my B flat. There it is. Okay. So we got it. The scale, sorry. That Locrian messes me up because we never use that mode ever. Like most people can remember Mixolydian, Lydian, Phrygian, Dorian, and of course the natural minor scale, which is called Aeolian, and Ionian is the major scale. But nobody ever remembers Locrian. As a matter of fact, I asked my husband, who has his doctorate in music, what that scale was that was on, what the mode was on B, and he was going, oh God, I can never remember this one. So it's like even the man with the doctorate can't remember that mode because nobody ever uses it. So So here's the way
is
that
gonna
this.
throw us off though, I think. But go for it. Go play it, and then I'll tell you.
Okay, here's what it sounds like. So what is
I
that
don't
one?
know if it is something, because if you look at the scale from a major scale standpoint, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Karthik, I muted you because you were not muted, so I'll unmute you now, as long as you can mute yourself if you're not going to speak. Um, so here you have re is first re, and then you have second ga, then you have first ma. So that part is fine, right? Then
But
the
You
this
have the second ma, which is why it is sounding odd.
Yes, exactly. You have two mas, and we never do that. So,
No.
uh, I don't, unless it's like a Bhashanga ragam, I don't know that we would have a ragam. I guess you could call it a, well, it doesn't have a pa, so it has two mas, and then it is Sariga of, Todi, and then Danisa of Todi.
Correct.
Sarigama of Todi, Danisa of Todi, but with a second ma in there. Is there a ragam like that?
Not in
so
Carnatic.
There we go.
No.
So Locrian mode is unusual even in Carnatic music. We don't have one. It breaks
That
the
is why.
laws of all music.
Yeah,
I say we just forget it.
So you can
I
just
say
write
just throw it out.
Locrian mode there and then say no equivalent known by Beethoven for now. And then we'll see if we can find something.
So these two notes are the issue, especially this one because it has the flat,
Correct.
and that should be pa, right? But it's not pa.
For a scale it
If
should
it
be
was,
pa.
then it would be Todi.
Yes, correct. If it was pa, then it would be the same as the previous Phrygian mode, right? But it's basically this the same as the Phrygian mode, but the pa, instead of the pa, it's a pa flat, right? Which we don't do, right? In our
Yes.
scales, you have to have the pa. But
Right.
you could, if you were trying to find a raga equivalent of it, I guess you may be able to find something, but I don't know ragas well enough to know whether there is a one
No,
like that.
on a lighter vein, if you give it to M. Balamurali Krishna, he will.
Um,
That
You go to heaven
so
now.
so exactly, you have to go to
no,
heaven. I was gonna say the same thing. The what you have written above it, just above, is that you just have the what's that? What's on measure 13
wait, that's
above?
spelled wrong. Wait, how do you spell it? I'm having trouble. I'm
Oh,
getting I'm
Valent. Yep.
okay. I spelled it right. I had to shut my eyes because I was having a horrible dyslexia moment, which I have terribly. I have really bad dyslexia where I flip letters around. Okay, so yeah, no equivalent to that, and that's called the Locrian mode.
Can you
And
the measure 13,
yeah,
that's nothing, right? Like the previous measure where you have stuff. Was that supposed to be
no,
something?
no, it's
Okay, so you can just delete that.
And I have one question. I mean, is any
yes.
music composed on this Locrian mode? Composition
It
there?
is very rare circumstance where you would have anything that stays for any length of time in the Locrian mode. And one of the reasons why is what I talked about. I talked about earlier was this sound here, which is this particular sound here. Those two intervals right there. If I put them together, they are ugly sounding. And here, let me flat it. So if I play this, yeah, that's just an ugly sound right there. People, so there's this entire debate going on right now in the Western tradition, and the debate is why didn't composers earlier in early music, so we're talking, like 1100s to to maybe the 1800s, why did they not use this interval very much? Because it was ugly. It's an ugly interval, and there's no, it's not it's not something you want to base an entire song on. And as you know, this note, which is the sa and the pa, are very important in both of our traditions. And to have it not be the pa is freaky for us. And so there is a rumor, we think it's a rumor, but we're not sure, that the Catholic Church told people that they could not use this interval because it was of the devil. So the interval was the devil's interval, and you were not supposed to use it. And so they didn't use it. But a lot of music historians have gone back and said, we can't, and church historians have gone back and said, we can't really find anything that says you can't use it. We're finding documentation that says it's so ugly you shouldn't use it. So writing a piece in the Locrian mode would have been very strange because it inherently has that. I don't even know what that would be. That wouldn't be anything it's not, what would you call it? It's not a pa. What would it be? Nothing?
So no, it's a pratimadhyamam. It would be the second ma. It's the same thing as in your Lydian mode, right? So that combination we do sing. So I don't know if we have it. I don't know what ragam it would come in, but it's not like it's not there. It's just this whole combination of notes. All of these together is a very unusual combination, like especially to have both mas and then being like, we do have both mas and ragas. We have ragas which are what is it? I can't remember the name.
Saranga, Amir Kalyani.
Yes, Saranga.
Yeah.
We have some very popular ragas with both mas, right? But I don't know if that specific combination.
1 second, Kala. Yeah, there is only one rag, even in the Hindustani system, where both mas come together. It's a very peculiar, that is called Lalit. That's the only rag where both the mas come together. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the point is that even when we have the two mas, right, we kind of like go up and then come back to the second ma, or like we don't sing them one after the other. Does that make sense?
Oh, so you use one ma going up and then the other one coming down?
Yeah, or we go
Yes.
up and down within the same arohanam or in the other, and then that's how we like give the change, have account for having both mas, but we don't really go ma and then ma again. Very rare. Unless in Lalit they do that. In Carnatic music we don't do that.
Raga.
Yeah. Now I do have a question on this event for the modes, right? So, are these also key signatures? So if I wanted to go to a different mode, then would I just write out the key signature if I was singing in just a normal scale? Or what is key signatures and how do they relate to all this?
Okay, so that's a very different question than how we put together the scales in a very weird way. Can you guys give me just a second? My giant Great Pyrenees. I will introduce you if you can see. There she is.
That was her.
She's very loud.
Okay, I could hear her.
Yeah, she hums. She goes. She and I think she got it from our cat who purrs, and I think she thinks that's purring. I don't know what she thinks, but she wants out right now, and she's going to start digging at me if I don't let her out. Hold on a second. Sorry, I got to let her out. Okay, Emma. Go on out, big girl.
Ha. Kala.
Sorry.
What's that?
So, okay.
1 second. Tiger Moth,
Oh,
you were saying?
No, I'm saying we could have a time limit now.
Okay. Okay, fine. So I'll tell you what. We'll pause here. Yvette, if you don't mind, I would like to sit and I would discuss my question with you. And we can also discuss it with the group next week. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Key signatures are a very separate thing, and I think we need to like keep that separate because
Okay.
it's I can attack it in a very different way that doesn't
Confuse
involve
everyone. Yeah.
necessarily what we've just done today.
Got it.
What I'll do is do a PDF of this and post it so you guys can see this, and I'll put it in a logical format so that it makes sense Western wise in the scale. Like I said, if I go C to C, that's a major scale. If I go D to D, that's Dorian. I'll put it in that order for you so you can kind of see how we learn it. And that way, and then you can see the parallels, the ones that fit.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Excellent. It's
Awesome.
the way you connected the two systems is wonderful. Yeah.